Welcome to the Sharpe Way Show. So happy to have you here this evening. I know it's 7:30. Some of you like me at 7. Had some stuff I had to take care of. I still got a day job. So I had some stuff I had to take care of. So I'm 7:30 today versus 7. So still good. I'm here and I want to talk about the news of the day. Something that's happening now. But before I go there, I want you to think about something personal for a moment, something a little bit personal, if you would. Can you think about a time when you, as an adult, always thought back at your parents, your mother or your father, whichever, and you thought, I'll never be like them, right? I'm not going to be like them. And this one thing they did that you hated. You hated your mom did this, or your dad did that, or that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, you're an adult now, and you find yourself doing exactly that. The thing that you were like, I will never be like that when it comes to my mom or my dad. I'm not going to be like you. And then you're an adult, and you're like, wow, I just heard my mother, or I just heard my father in me. Oh my God, I just did that. Yeah, that's a common thing. If we don't try very hard, we wind up becoming our parents. It's a common thing. Well, guess what? Our country's there. Our nation's there. Our dad, the United Kingdom, the British Empire, was our dad. And when we left our dad, we were like, I'm not going to be like you, Dad. Stupid Texas. I'm not doing that. Right? I'm going to be about life and liberty and pursuit of happiness. I don't care about the empire. That's dumb. I'm out. And we left. We got mad before the war. We got mad. Well, 250 or so years later, all of a sudden, man, are we our dad? We just became our dad, didn't we? Right? The British Empire had the largest navy in the world. So do we, just like our dad. British Empire fought in the Middle East, just like us, became our dad. British Empire fought in Afghanistan. So did we, just like our dad. We become our dad in many ways. We are all about the empire. That life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, that's for kids. That's for kids, right? Now we're the empire. We have become our father. And I say it now because finally, President Biden saying we're leaving Afghanistan. Sounds good. I mean, I think most libertarians are like, great. That sounds amazing. Took you 20 years to figure that one out, but fine. Okay. I guess better late than never, I guess would be one thing. But does it really mean we're ending our empire? Does it mean that we're going to stop being the empire? That's the thing I'm concerned about. It sounds nice. It does. And I'm not mad that we're leaving. I'm glad we're leaving. It's a good idea. But is this just one thing, or is this really us ending our empire? My worry is when we end our empire, and we will because all empires fail, all fall. My worry is, do we do it just like the British and the Soviets did? There's, some of you may not know, the nickname of Afghanistan. Nickname is the graveyard of empires. It's where empires go to die. British Empire, the Soviet Union, and now us. And is that leaving saying that where empire is going to die? I hope not. But can we dismantle it? I think we can. Is Joe Biden going to dismantle our empire? Are we leaving Afghanistan? Yes. Dismantle our empire? No. I don't see that happening at all, really. But yeah, I would like us to have a little bit more of that teenager rebellion vigor in our society and in our foreign policy. I think that'd be a bit better. I would like that. But yeah, I'm not sure that's actually going to happen. I want to actually go through a little bit of what he said. Let me grab a couple of comments first. Then I want to listen to his speech and show you what I mean by that. Andrew says, leaving Afghanistan, that was a quick fight, lands in Ukraine. Yeah. I hope you're wrong, Andrew. That's what I will tell you. I hope you're wrong. Avi says, my question to hair sniffer Biden is, what took you so long? Better yet, leave now. Why wait another day? It's not great, but better late than never. Absolutely. Jeanette says, the older I get, the wiser they seem. But yeah, Larry, I get you. 100%. right? There's an old saying, the older I get, the smarter my parents get. Yeah, the older I get, the smarter they get. When I was 18, my parents were dumb. Now that I'm 38, oh my God, my parents are pretty smart now. Yeah, it keeps going. Now I'm past 50 and I've lost both my parents. But yes, as I got older, they got smarter. It's amazing how they got wiser as I got older. It's kind of funny. Yes, absolutely. So, yeah. So Joe says, when I was a teen, preteen, I remember thinking I knew it all and my parents were dumb. Now that I'm the age they were at the time, I can see how very wise they were. Absolutely. 100%. Yes. So let me keep going. All right. Charlie says, Afghanistan, where nations go to die. Yes. And only now we're figuring this out. We probably should have figured this out a long time ago. Absolutely. Yes. So let me grab what he actually said so you can see. And I'm going to tell you where I think, I mean, he went right in a couple places. And usually when you hear Biden speak, you can find a couple things where, yeah, that's right. But it's usually only a couple of things. And I always, when possible, want to give him the benefit of doubt when I can. That's obviously not always, but yes.
President George W. Bush informed our nation that the United States military had begun strikes on terrorist training camps in Afghanistan.
I remember that.
It was just weeks after the terrorist attack on our nation that killed 2,977 innocent souls.
Now, Biden is always, doing these types of, bringing these numbers up, and he does a lot of prefacing. And I get why he does it. It kind of works for him. But I just get tired because I see him use this tactic constantly. And it kind of drives me a little bit crazy. But I know a lot of people who like Biden like that tactic. As he warms you up with that, I know what happened. I was there. I'm the wise guy who's been here forever. It does bother me a bit because I know the tactic that he's using. And it's not required. He could just say the stuff and we would still get it. But he rarely does that.
That turned Lower Manhattan into a disaster area, destroyed parts of the Pentagon, and made hallowed ground of a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania.
See, the reason why this style I don't like very much from him is because I don't think that's how he speaks. Now, I could be wrong. I don't know him personally, and I could be completely wrong. But my image is he doesn't speak this way. I mean, he says words like malarkey, right? Come on, man. That's him. So when he speaks this way, I feel like he's just reading a script, like it's really not him. And don't get me wrong, I know presidents read scripts. I'm not fooling myself. But it should feel like at least they wrote it or they want it or it should feel better. I mean, if you look at some of our great orators of the past, I mean, Reagan, it looked like he was not reading a thing. It looked like he was just saying all off the cuff. Clinton was that way too. It looked like Clinton and Reagan were just talking off the cuff, where sometimes they were, because they were very good at that. They were often reading speeches too, of course. But I would rather it feel like he's just talking. One of the reasons why I do all my stuff live, so that you can see how I actually talk.
And sparked an American promise that we would never forget.
I am not a fan of this concept. And I know people get upset at me when I say this. I'm not a fan of never forget September 11th, 2001. Never forget. I'm not a fan of that. That is spending a lot of time thinking about the past, about our loss, about our failure. I don't want to be the never forget. I want to be the what's the next step? How do we move forward? Right? If I die in something like this in some way, shape, or form, I hope that anyone who cares about me doesn't go, let's never forget that Larry died in that bombing or whatever. I want them to say, Larry would have wanted us to move on and do great things. That's why he did what he did, so that you can go on and do great things. So if we want to actually honor Larry, we should go on and do great things. That's what I would hope people would think. I hope they would act that way and not mourn me for 20 years, 30 years, whatever the case may be. Now, to be clear, if you lost somebody, I'm very lucky. There were only 2 people that I lost there, and both of them were acquaintances at best. They were people who I knew, but I was not close to them. And while it affected me, relative to someone who lost someone close to them, I mean, not even close. Not even close. In fact, sadly, I've forgotten one of their names. That is how I just knew the person. I met them one time. So I wasn't close to them at all. The other guy was an acquaintance. I knew him a bit better. His name was Chris, but that's just someone I happen to know. But I didn't take that damage. If you did, if you know someone who you actually lost, who you hurt, who was hurt by that, I mean, of course you're going to mourn. But I'd ask something else. When my father died, when I was a kid, he was 11 when he died, I didn't go around telling people. I mean, if you asked, I would say I didn't hide it because I didn't want people feeling sorry for me, because I didn't want people reminding me, oh, it's your father's death day. Don't you want to mourn him again? No, I didn't want to bring up those horrible memories of my father's death. I wanted to only have the good memories. I can only imagine, and I don't know this, but if you lost your father, your brother, your cousin, your lover, whomever in 9/11, do you have to be reminded every single 9/11 about their death? Wow. Maybe it's me. But if you want to mourn every year, you should. If that's how you heal, if that's how you process, if that's how you grieve, go right ahead. Not who I am.
Went to Afghanistan in 2001 to root out al-Qaeda.
Yep.
To prevent future terrorist attacks against the United States planned from Afghanistan.
Yeah, we could stop them from being planned in one of 190 some odd countries.
Our objective was clear.
It was.
The cause was just. Our NATO allies and partners rallied beside us.
It's true.
And I supported that military action along with overwhelming majority of the members
and
of Congress.
Every other one you did too.
More than 7 years later, in 2008, weeks before we swore the oath of office, President Obama and I were about to swear, President Obama asked me to travel to Afghanistan and report back on the state of the war in Afghanistan.
That was 2008? Okay.
I flew to Afghanistan, to the Kunar Valley, a rugged mountainous region on the border with Pakistan. What I saw on that trip reinforced my conviction that only the Afghans have the right and responsibility to lead their country.
So you figured that out 13 years ago. You were like, I'm good. It's 2008 and I got this. I know only the Afghans can run this country. So when I came back as vice president, I said nothing for 8 years. Then I said nothing for the 4, and now I'm going to say something. I guess better late than never.
And that more and endless American military force could not create or sustain a durable Afghan government.
Yes.
I believed that our presence in Afghanistan should be focused on the reason we went in the first place, to ensure Afghanistan would not be used as a base from which to attack our homeland again.
Okay.
We did that.
Okay.
We
I like
accomplished
that.
that objective. I said, among with others, we'd follow Osama bin Laden to the gates of hell if need be.
Go get him, and
That's
we got
exactly what we did.
Yeah.
And we got him.
And terrorism ended.
It took us close to 10 years to put President Obama's commitment into form.
Okay.
And that's exactly what happened. Osama bin Laden was gone. That was 10 years ago.
Yes.
Think about that.
I have
justice to bin Laden a decade ago, and we've stayed in Afghanistan for a decade since.
Yes.
Since then, our reasons for remaining in Afghanistan have become increasingly unclear.
They were always unclear. You just said that. We got bin Laden. Why are we there? We got bin Laden. And bin Laden, by the way, was in Pakistan. He wasn't in Afghanistan because we had bungled the initial assault because we tried buying Afghans. And the British told us, there's no British saying about Afghanistan, about Afghans. They say you cannot buy Afghan loyalty. You can only rent it. So yeah, we were trying to rent Afghan loyalty. That's not how that works. So the Brits told us that. The Soviets told us that. But we thought we were smarter than them all. And we weren't.
Even as the terrorist threat that we went to fight evolved, over the past 20 years, the threat has become more dispersed, metastasizing around the globe.
Yeah.
Al-Shabaab in Somalia.
Doesn't affect us.
Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula.
Doesn't affect us.
Al-Nusra in Syria.
Doesn't affect us.
ISIS attempting to create a caliphate in Syria and Iraq and establishing a...
Let me touch that piece because Jimmy just brought this up also. Jimmy says, I've heard the Republicans saying the last time we pulled out of war, ISIS was created. What's your rebuttal to that? Who gives a shit? Seriously. He just said they're trying to establish a caliphate. We already have a caliphate in the Middle East. It's called Saudi Arabia. We have a secondary caliphate, which is similar, but not 100%. It's called Iran. We already have caliphates in the Middle East, and Turkey's trying to become one. And so what? When ISIS actually controlled territory, do you know what actually happened? They stopped being terrorists. Why? They had to govern. And their governing sucked because they're terrible autocrats. So of course their governing sucked. Their country, if you want to call it that, would have collapsed because it had to, because nobody wanted to trade with them. And they couldn't trade. They had no money. It would have collapsed. Of course it would have. There was no need to attack and crush that caliphate at all. The Syrians would have done it themselves if they wanted to. So would Iraqis eventually. We should have left it alone. Who cares? Well, Larry, they want to kill us. Lots of people want to kill us. So what? If I decide right now, I go, you know what? I'm the true king of Spain. I decide that right now. Should the Spanish come attack me? Well, Larry Sharpe has said he's the king of Spain. He might invade Spain. No, Larry Sharpe has no ability to invade Spain. And you know who has no ability to invade us? ISIS at all. There are more New York City cops than there are ISIS fighters at their peak. At their peak, ISIS fighters. There are more New York City cops. And they're what, 6,000 miles away with no Navy, no Air Force, no nuclear weapons, nothing. Why are we afraid of ISIS? Why the hell are we so scared? So what? All these alphabet he named. So they're mad in their own country. Great. Be mad in your own country. Why do I care? You're not coming after me. You can't. But you're going to invade? ISIS is invading. Oh my God. The New York City police force would kill them. That's how fast it would be. And they have more weapons. Literally, they have more weapons than ISIS does also. I don't know why we're so afraid of these people. Because they say they're going to kill us? So what? So what? Let's say ISIS would have grown and had a small caliphate in between Iran and Saudi Arabia. It would have allied with one of them, whichever one, and then one of them would be bigger. So if we stop fighting Iran, we could trade with them. We have bigger trading partners. What do you care? This is a fantasy. This is a boogeyman they're creating out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. You know, Lindsey Graham talked about this today. I'll bring his up later. Thank you, Jimmy. I'll bring his up after this. Thank you for that. You've brought up a valid point.
Affiliates in multiple countries in Africa and Asia. With the terror threat now in many places.
The terror threat.
Thousands of troops grounded and concentrated in just one country at a cost of billions each year makes little sense to me.
So he'd rather have them spread across the entire globe, because that'll make a whole lot more sense. That'll make a whole lot more sense. Let's put U.S. troops everywhere. You know what? You were right. You get out of Afghanistan, Andrew, and you're in Ukraine. You were right.
And to our leaders, we cannot continue the cycle of extending or expanding our military presence in Afghanistan, hoping to create ideal conditions for the withdrawal and expecting a different result. I'm now the fourth United States president to preside over American troop presence in Afghanistan.
Yep.
2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. I will not pass this responsibility onto a 5th.
This is the part that I love. He said, I've watched over, troops in Afghanistan, 4 presidents, right? 2 Republican, 2 Democrat. Yeah. All of you love the military industrial complex. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican, doesn't matter if you're a Democrat. Now, Democrats like bombing more. That's true. Democrats like the hot war more than the Republicans. And you would think, supposedly, the Republicans are going to mean people that they would like the hot war more. They don't. Republicans like Cold War. Oh, they love that, embargoes and stuff. Republicans like the Cold War. Democrats like the hot war. Obama bombed more than Bush. Obama bombed more than Trump. Trump was the least bombiest, right? He bombed the least, right? So Biden started bombing Syria, like 6 days into his presidency, he started bombing? So Democrats like the hot war. Republicans prefer a Cold War, but they both absolutely love the military industrial complex.
After consulting closely with our allies and partners, with our military leaders and intelligence personnel, with our diplomats and our development experts, with the Congress and the Vice President, as well as with Mr. Ghani and many others around the world.
Well, now that'll solve it.
I concluded that it's time to end America's longest war.
You figured that one out.
It's time for American troops to come home.
I agree, but from everywhere. I agree. He's right, but from everywhere. Because why would it matter whether it's Afghanistan or Iraq or Syria or Somalia or North Korea or South Korea or Germany? Why would it matter? Bring them all home.
When I came to office, I inherited a diplomatic agreement duly negotiated between the government of the United States and the Taliban that all U.S. forces would be out of Afghanistan by May 1, 2021.
Yep.
Just 3 months after my inauguration.
Yep.
That's what we inherited, that commitment.
And that wasn't a bad thing. It's something, I mean, look, I know I wasn't supporting Trump. I know I didn't vote for Trump. I voted for Joe Jorgensen, but I give people the benefit. I'm sorry, give them credit where credit is due. I'm glad Trump did that. That was a good thing.
It's perhaps not what I would have negotiated myself.
Yeah, still
But
good.
it was an agreement made by the United States government.
That is accurate. You are correct.
That means something.
Agreed.
So in keeping with that agreement and with our national interest, the United States will begin our final withdrawal, begin it on May 1 of this year. We'll not conduct a hasty rush to the exit. We'll do it responsibly, deliberately, and safely.
Okay, I like those.
And we will do it in full coordination with our allies and partners,
okay,
who now have more forces in Afghanistan than we do.
Well, maybe they should leave
The
too.
Taliban should know that if they
this is the
attack
worst
us
part.
as
What?
we draw down,
What we do.
we will defend ourselves and our partners with all the tools at our disposal.
Okay.
Our allies and partners have stood beside us shoulder to shoulder in Afghanistan for almost 20 years.
Afghanis too.
And we're deeply grateful for the contributions they have made to our shared mission. And for
Okay.
the sacrifices they've borne.
So now tell me the rest.
The plan has long been in together, out together.
That's nice.
U.S. troops, as well as forces deployed by our NATO allies and operational partners, will be out of Afghanistan before we mark the 20th anniversary of the
there we
heinous
go.
attack on September 11th.
That's actually, I see. That's why he said we're going to begin May 1. So you're kind of doing what the Trump said, but kind of not. And you'll be out by September 11th. That, it's symbolic. All right, I'll buy it. Fine. At least you're out. I'll take that.
But
Here's the
we
but.
will not take our eye off the terrorist threat.
Oh.
We'll reorganize our counterterrorism capabilities.
The war on terror continues. See, while this all sounds amazing, and it does sound nice, the reality of it is he's pulling troops out so he can say, look, I pulled troops out. I was less of a war hawk than Trump was. See, that's what he's going to try to achieve. And the media might get behind this. I mean, if the media wants to, they will absolutely make him the least war hawky of them all. They might do that. But he's not going to stop being, part of the military industrial complex. He's not going to stop the war on terror. Because what he's saying is we're going to keep our eye off the ball. So we're going to pull out Afghanistan, and then we're going to keep watching. So we have to have, terrorist watch and all that kind of good stuff. They do something wrong, we're going to punish them, but just not with bombs. Or maybe with bombs. Now we'll do strategic strikes because those always work. Or instead of doing strategic strikes, we'll do things like embargo them because that always works. Or we'll do sanctions because that always works. So we'll still create some form of horrible war on terror, control, and pain. We won't just do what we should do, which is walk away. That's it. Just walk away.
And the substantial assets in the region to prevent reemergence of terrorists with a threat to our homeland from over the horizon.
Okay, there's no threat to our homeland. That's not a thing. The people who supported the attack on our homeland were Saudis. They just happened to be in Afghanistan because the Afghanis didn't care. And the Afghanis wouldn't give them up because the Afghanis said, we're going to give a big finger to you, you empire. We eat empires, what we do. And they ate the British Empire, they ate the Soviet Empire, and they ate us. So the Afghanis weren't trying to attack us. They weren't Taliban people attacking us or fighting us. They were Saudis. Saudis have money. The Afghans don't have any money. The Afghans are no threat to us. They were never and still aren't. You know who Afghanis want to fight more than Americans, more than Soviets, more than Brits? Other Afghanis. That's what they love fighting the most. And if you think I'm making that up, look at your history book. Ask an Afghani. They'll tell you. So once we leave, they go fight each other again. It's what they want to do. It's who they are. They have to figure out. They have to have their own civil war to have their own government the way they want to have their own government. Leave them alone. That's the answer.
We'll hold the Taliban accountable
For
its
what?
commitment not to allow any terrorist to threaten the United States or its allies from.
So if someone threatens us from Afghanistan, what do we do? Embargo them? This is a talk that means nothing. So some guy who hates America decides to hide in the mountains of Afghanistan that nobody can find. We couldn't even find Osama bin Laden. So some guy starts hiding in the mountains of Afghanistan. He bribes the local tribesmen to not say anything, and they won't because they like the cash. What are we going to do? Yell at them? Shake our fist? We won't go into the Olympics or whatever stupid crap we'll do. Or we can just leave them alone. We could just do that.
Afghan soil. The Afghan government has made that commitment to us as well. And we'll focus our full attention on the threat we face today. In my direction, my team is refining our national strategy to monitor and disrupt significant terrorist threats, not only in Afghanistan, but anywhere they may arise.
So he's just said, you would think for a second, okay, we're getting Afghanistan. We're going to save money. We're going to save lives. This will be awesome. We're going to start dismantling the empire, dismantling the military-industrial complex. No, we're just refocusing. So now instead of us keeping our eyes on Afghanistan, we have to keep our eyes on everything, check everything, and break down and track and stop their, their terrorist networks, because that's worked exactly. Carry the one. Never. That's never worked. If you want to stop terrorism, stop giving people reasons to hate us. That would stop it. And one of the reasons why people hate us is because we keep meddling in their countries. We could just leave them alone. But Larry, they might kill themselves. Okay, they might. We kill ourselves too. We had a civil war and a revolution, which was actually another civil war. So we had it too. So Canada decided to become a country without war. We decided to become a country with war. Both are the right answers. The Canadian answer was right for them, and the American answer was right for us. And the Afghanis must find their own answer. So must the Syrians. So must the Iraqis. So must the rest of the world. Leave them alone, and they will find their own answers. I hope it's peaceful. I really do. And I mean that sincerely. I hope it is a peaceful answer. But if it means war, they will decide, and they will fight the war the way they want to. And as long as we're not there, we won't be included. And we shouldn't be.
And they're in Africa, Europe, the Middle East, and elsewhere.
All right. I think we're done here. You see what's happening. We're not really breaking stuff down. But I do want to go. Jimmy asked the question. I'm going to find Graham's response. He had a response too. Let me grab a couple of these comments. And I hope you're seeing what I'm talking about. So I hope it's making sense what I'm talking about in this, how that we're not really doing as much as it might sound. Right? So Tommy says, we will never leave Afghanistan. We will never stop being the world police. Yes, Tommy, he just said that. You are correct. Yes. I believe it when they're all home. No one left there. Yeah, no, you're correct. He just said so, Tommy. You were correct. Bill says 750 billion says we stay after 9/11. And by the way, what symbolizes us 9/11? So stupid. Yeah, I agree. Right. Why don't we instead, if we're going to play the symbolism game, Bill, how about something that says like, the day we landed on the moon? That's interesting, right? The day the internet, is official, whenever that day was. I don't even know what it was. And I should know that day, right? Whatever the official internet day was, right? All those things. Those are positive things. We're remembering the terrible things. That's not healthy. I agree completely. John says the dollar will collapse so fast. We really are dependent upon the military industrialized complex. Yes, John, but if you remember my plan for this, and I had a plan for this, the way to take care of the military industrial complex is not to end it overnight. That I know a lot of libertarians like end it tomorrow. You're right. We can't do that realistically. I mean, could we? Sure. But the amount of disruption that will happen would not be worth the idea of getting rid of it that fast. The real answer is actually a relatively simple one. It's phased. The first phase is immediately end all hot wars and bring all of those troops home right away. That's the first step. When you bring those troops home, now you've got a bunch of troops home. If you don't know where to put them, throw them on the border for a couple years. And then as their contracts end, don't allow many re-enlistments and let them know in advance. Look, if you're a 2-year, if you're in a 4-year tour enlistment, excuse me, and you've got 2 years left. If you come home and I discharge you, I've just screwed you over. You were planning on being a Marine or a soldier or a sailor for 2 more years. So I let you go 2 years, but I let you know, no reenlistment, man. John, no reenlistment. So you got 2 years, do your time, be ready to get out. I'm giving you a chance to think, am I going to college? Am I getting out? Am I getting a new job? What am I doing? Right? Where should I move? You just bring them home and discharge them. You are screwing them over, and you have a contract. So let the people know that a bunch of them were not going to let you reenlist. You do get time, made an agreement, abide by your contract, and then move on. Not just that. Every single base that we have out there either has a treaty or a SOFA agreement. SOFA is a status of forces agreement. We either have SOFA or we have an actual treaty. Look at every one of those treaties. Some of them have an out clause. If they have an out clause, you exercise it. Say, hey, we can get out if we give you X years, X months notice. We're giving you notice now. Same thing. Any treaties that are going to expire in a couple years, you let you know when that treaty expires, we're leaving. And that is how you slowly bring down the military industrial complex. But that's not enough because, to your point, there's a lot of dollars on that. So how do we make that happen? Every single embargo and sanction that we have on this planet, we end immediately. Everyone. You have a bunch of foreign service officers. You have a bunch of military guys, people who've been overseas for a long time. As they start coming out of the military industrial complex, guess what? Now they become the sales reps, the door openers, the deal makers in these new countries, right? We open up Iran. We open up Korea. I'm not joking. North Korea. We open up Cuba. We open up all these countries that we have all these embargoes on. Well, now that's new markets for us. And we start going to those markets. And now the military industrial complex shifts into a non-military industrial complex, which is just industry making stuff and building stuff. And again, as one shrinks, the other grows. That's how you keep the jobs going. You can do this. It's probably a 10-year plan. Could be maybe a 5-year plan in theory. Could be a 5-year plan. But boom, you can do it. And now you support those industries. Now you're ready to rock and roll, right? So that's how you make it happen. Yes. So, all right, see if I can keep going here. Larry, the only reason he's pulling out of Afghanistan is to get ready to ratchet up against Russia or China. Worse, use the military against us. God, I hope you're wrong, Avi. I hope you're wrong. Really, I hope you're wrong. We need to follow the law of Marine General Smedley Butler. Absolutely. We need an amendment to limit the U.S. military to leave within 100 border. I'm not sure what that meant, but okay. Yes, keep them in the borders of the United States. I agree with that. Yes, 100%. So the Elastic Giraffe notices he actually delays the pullout 4 months for 9/11 for symbolic reasons. I know it's kind of cheesy, but I get why he did it. But it's cheesy, but I get it absolutely. So Charlie says, so what's next? Russia, Yemen, or do we actually stand down? No, I think we just shift. I think we shift. I think it's a shift. It's not a stand down. It's a shift into more wider and different types of control. Tactical strikes, stuff like that. Yes. So. All right, so Joe says, Biden's actually extending the Trump deadline. He is, that's correct, against the wishes of Afghanistan. Do you think Biden actually cares what Afghanistan cares about? He doesn't. Jimmy says, Biden spoke of unity, then when elected did the opposite. See, this is the part that bothers me about Biden. To be forward, I know many of you don't like Biden. Biden has a skill set and a resume that he actually could have been a uniter. Like he could have been one. He doesn't have a big personality. He's not a big yeller and screamer. He's not easy to love or easy to hate, right? He's not like Kamala Harris is very easy to love, easy to hate. Trump, very easy to love, very easy to hate. He's not. So he has that. He's very empathetic. He speaks slow. He's been in Congress forever. He knows all the old school guys. Jimmy, he really could have been a unifier. And I'm very disappointed that he's not even close to one. I thought he would be better. I did. I thought he'd be better. I had hope that he'd be even better than that. But he's not even doing what I'd meaningly hoped for. I really expected more. I really hoped for more from him. And disappointing. If Kamala runs next, I mean, she's not a uniter at all. She's a big personality. She's just going to be as bad as all the rest. So anyway, Benjamin says, also, if I was to become my dad, I'd be a Marine, but that title was earned, not given. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. Well, the funny part is I've had military men in my entire family from as far back as we know. both on my father's side and my mother's side. And my mother was German. So we even had guys who fought in World War I and World War II in my family on the German side. And on the American side, guys who were in Vietnam, guys who were, World War I. I mean, everywhere. Army, Navy, Air Force. I'm the only Marine. That's the funny part. Most were in the Army, Navy, Air Force. I'm the only Marine. But yes, all military. Yes. All right. I think the Mongols were the last empire to conquer Afghanistan, but even they pulled out. So yes, they created a khanate in that area. So even they pulled out of Afghanistan. I guess in theory, Alexander the Great went there, but he never conquered it. So even Alexander the Great couldn't conquer it. So yeah, not at all. So Pete Clark says, what is going on now is similar to Rome's collapse, endless wars, wasteful spending, unpaid debt. Yes, yes, and yes. Absolutely. So let me grab, if I can, this is Lindsey Graham. Thank you for this, Jimmy. You are right. He did bring up a couple things, and he is immediately against it. He is not happy with this at all. I'll show you a few minutes of what he's talking about.
Does anybody doubt that if Al-Qaeda or ISIS had a nuclear capability, they'd use it?
Yes, I do. Yes. Why in the world would Al-Qaeda or ISIS use a nuclear weapon if they had it? Why would they? What would be the logic in them doing that? I don't know why. First off, if it was just about buying a nuclear weapon, Al-Qaeda could have bought one. Osama bin Laden was a bazillionaire. The Saudis are super wealthy. They could just buy one, right? If it was that easy, they would just buy one. And if it's easy, they would get one, right? They just go, hey, Russia, Ukraine, whatever, insert country here. Here's like, I don't know, $1 billion. Can I have a nuke? And somebody would be like, yeah, I'm sure. Somebody would if it was that easy. So it isn't that easy to even get it. Iran has been spending forever to get it, right? And they're a country, and they're having trouble getting it. So it's not easy to get one. So how could Al-Qaeda? There's like what 300 Al-Qaeda in the entire country, entire world. They don't have a country, got nothing. So why is this even a thing? And if they did get one, let's say the 300 or whatever, let's go ISIS, the 3,000 ISIS people left in the world, that those 3,000 guys go, we got a nuclear weapon now. Yeah. How are they going to use it? It can't be an ICBM. So it's got to be one of those, I don't know, suitcase bombs, whatever. I don't know. This is silly. It's like, well, if that dog gets a machine gun, he might use it. Dog's not going to get a machine gun. And if he gets a machine gun, he's just going to look at it and sniff it. I don't know what this is, the kind of fear mongering that drives me crazy. And why would they use it? What does ISIS or Al-Qaeda actually want? Does anybody actually know? I do. They want their own caliphate. What they want is to be left alone so they can create their own utopia on earth, which will be a disaster. But they believe that. How do you know that? Because that's what ISIS did. Literally, when they were winning, they made a caliphate. When they were winning, there was hardly any terrorism because they were winning in a caliphate and they were governing. They were getting their utopia on earth. That's what they want. So why would they nuke us so that we could nuke out their utopia on earth? It makes no logical sense they'd ever do it ever. And it will be against what their goals are. And there's no way they'll get one anyway. Senator Graham, this is horseshit. This is fear mongering. Never going to happen, silly. And people buy it all the time.
Does anybody doubt if they had a chemical capability, they would use it?
Yes, chemical weapons are very easy to make. Hitler had them, didn't use them. And they could have got them if they wanted to, right out of Iraq. Right out of Iraq. Saddam Hussein had them. He used them. Saddam actually used them on his own people. You know what has happened recently? Since World War I, nations don't use chemical weapons against other nations. They use them against their own people, but they don't use them against other nations or their enemies. Why? Because retaliation. They don't do that. Do you think that if the Taliban or whoever, the Afghans, would say, let's use chemical weapons against America, because what could go wrong? They'd be like, no, they'll use it against us. Even worse, they might nuke us. Of course not. Again, fear mongering doesn't make any sense. In this case, the opposite is true. Chemical weapons are dirt cheap. They are super cheap and very easy to make. So if they wanted chemical weapons, they could easily get them, easily get them.
So what have we learned in the last 20 years?
Nothing.
When we allow sanctuary for radical Islamic groups to train, equip, and get stronger, they come after us.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean they come after us? No, when we station our troops in their countries, they get upset and they come after us. They've been training. Terrorists have been training in training camps for hundreds of years. They only come after us when we're stationed in their country.
They come after our way of life and our
They
allies.
don't. No, they don't.
So on March 22nd, I talked with Mr. Sullivan, and I said, I know it is complicated and there are no great choices, but count me in for the idea we will not withdraw all forces in Afghanistan until the conditions are right to tell the American people we left honorably,
Mhm.
America is safer.
So we left honorably, and America safer. So we decide to leave. That's honorable. We follow a treaty that Trump negotiated. That's honorable. And Al Qaeda leader Osama's dead. So safer. So I would say that's how it'll be now. Actually, that's how it'll be 10 years ago. That's fine. I'll take now. It was that time 10 years ago. I'll take now.
I told Mr. Sullivan that I would support President Biden's decision to accept military advice to keep a residual force, several thousand, as an insurance policy.
Insurance policy.
9/11.
Because if we just keep like 2,000 troops in Afghanistan, that's the insurance policy. There'll be no 9/11 there because that'll stop it. First off, there's not going to be another 9/11 in my lifetime. That's not going to happen in my lifetime. Now, might they attack us some other way? Sure, possible. But 9/11 is not going to happen in my lifetime. No one's going to hijack a plane and put us in it. Never going to happen. I'll bet the same $750 million. Before I'll bet that same amount. It's never going to happen. If anybody gets on a plane and says, I'm taking the plane and I'm going to go do it, that person is getting beaten to death that day on that plane. That's going to happen. You know that, and so do I. So there's not going to be another 9/11. Again, this is just fear mongering based on nothing. I'm going to bet that 750 that Bill wanted. I'm going to bet the same thing. Not going to happen. Now, it might be some other attack. Yes. So let's prepare for that one. That one's probably going to be cyber. So why aren't we looking at cyber attacks? Cyber is the new weapon of mass destruction that we seem to have our head in the sand about. How about that one?
The result of this decision today by President Biden is to cancel an insurance policy that, in my view, would prevent another 9/11, because I believe with all my heart and soul, after 50-something trips to the region,
Yeah.
a few thousand Americans watching over there would make it hard for Al Qaeda and ISIS to reorganize to hit us over here.
Okay. It is possible that if we keep our nose in other people's lands and we keep bombing Syria or whatever, that someone might say, I wish Americans would leave. I'm going to show them by trying to make some kind of attack on them. That's 100% possible. That could happen. And if we keep X thousand troops in Afghanistan, it probably won't be in Afghanistan. So it'll be in Syria or Turkey or Ukraine or Moldova or 8 different countries in Africa. You're going to keep troops in every single country? Yes. That's the goal. The answer is yes. And when those 2,000 troops in Afghanistan can't go into every single cave and miss one, the answer, withdraw? No, more troops. If we had 20,000, then they could check every cave. Oh, that didn't work? 40,000. I said this years ago. I said, you want to turn Afghanistan into some amazing overnight European style democracy or something? You could do it. You could do it. You'd have to have at least 250,000 Marines in Afghanistan for 40 years. You want to put 250,000 Marines in Afghanistan for 40 years. And maybe over the course of those 40 years, take at least minimum 20,000 casualties, Marine casualties over those 40 years, at least 20,000 casualties, and kill at least 1 million Afghanis in the process. Are you prepared to do that, to spend all that money, all that blood, all that time? You could probably do it. You would just force it through just sheer force of will, death and destruction. You could probably do it. You'd still have some rebels, but you'd probably do it. Or you could just leave.
Those eyes and ears will be gone. I don't trust the Taliban to look out for American interest.
Yes, you don't have to. They don't care about us at all. The Taliban don't care about us at all.
Finding ourselves in a very precarious situation. Again, there are no great outcomes, but this is the worst possible outcome, is to
No, it isn't.
pull up and leave and hope that things will turn out well. That did not happen in Iraq, and it did not happen here.
Okay, let me be very clear about this. Everyone acts like the second that you leave, bad things happen. The reverse is true. When we left Iraq, terrorist attacks against Americans went down. Down. Why? There were no more Americans in Iraq. Most of the terrorist attacks against Americans were in Iraq. Most people don't even know that. Do your homework if you think I'm making it up. Most of the terrorist attacks against Americans were Americans in Iraq, in the Middle East. When we left the Middle East, there weren't many. Were there more terrorist attacks here in the United States? No. No. When we left Iraq, what happened? ISIS created its caliphate like it wanted to do. Yeah. What happened when we left Vietnam? They created their own communist state. So they did. That's what they care about. We ran out of Vietnam. Ran out. Remember the pictures? They're pushing choppers into the helos. They're pushing them into the ocean. People grabbing. We ran out of Vietnam. What happened? 20 years later, trading partners. You can now buy furniture from Vietnam. They're our trading partner now. And they have their own government. I don't think it's a great government, but guess what? I'm not Vietnamese. I don't get to decide. The Vietnamese people get to decide. If they don't like their government, they can overthrow it. I'll leave them alone and let them be them. And they can let us be us. Because guess what they care about right now in Vietnam? Vietnam. That's what they care about, as they should. And when we leave Afghanistan, the Taliban is not going to go, what's America think? They're not going to care. They're going to go run their country the way they run their country. This concept of we have to be involved, well, then they'll make ISIS. So what? So what? But then there'll be death. There's death now. We have not made things better. We've made things worse. Walk away and let them grow their own country the way they want to grow their own country.
To let the American people know that I felt it was incumbent upon me to tell President Biden that I will be with you if you accept sound military advice, even though some people in my party may not.
Yeah, because they were the smart ones.
I felt it was incumbent upon me to stand up to Trump decisions that I thought would make us left safe and work with President Trump. And I'm glad to say that President Trump listened.
President Trump wanted us out too. He wanted us out too. Biden wants us out. Trump wanted us out. You're on the wrong side of this one, Graham.
And I would like to end the war in Afghanistan as much as anybody.
Now that's a lie. That's a blatant lie. Stop that. Now you're lying. You blatantly lying. The rest of them you might be fooled to believe. I don't think so. I think you're just lying, period. But that's a blatant lie.
I have seen Afghanistan up close and personal and understand the sacrifice America has made. Understand the thousands that have died and the tens of thousands that have been injured and the money spent, but I've also understand.
So let's stop it.
I understand what it's like for a woman to go to school when she's threatened every day. I understand what it's like.
Yeah.
On some of the most radical forces in your own faith.
So now it's our job to make sure that Iraqi women go to school. That's our job now. We can't get our own kids to go. 3 million American kids can't go to school because of COVID. I'm not joking. Don't go to school because of COVID. Lost them and they lost 3 million kids. We lost 3 million kids in America. We don't know where the hell they are. They're not going to school anymore. We don't even know. That's happening in America right now. And I got to worry about Afghan kids too going to school. You know who should care about Afghan kids going to school? Afghan parents. They should. They should care about that a lot. And if they don't, why should I force them? That's the point that I keep bringing up. Why should I force them? Let me grab some of these comments. Thank you guys for giving me so many comments today. I appreciate that. So Friar Steve says, every POTUS is a team of speechwriters. Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry. Maybe I wasn't clear on this, Steve. I know that they all have speechwriters, but Biden often, it doesn't feel authentic. And maybe you guys disagree. I could be wrong on this one. I feel like his stuff doesn't feel authentic. I mean, except when he's just talking. When he's just talking, like about, I feel sorry about this. And that feels like him to me. But when he starts this pontificating at the front, I feel like someone just said, here, say this stuff, Joe. That's what I feel like. So Yes. Concho says they all have writers who write the message to be quoted later. Yeah, also true. Yes, absolutely. So Joe looks like he used a cup of Joe. Yes. Damon says, I know I'm healing when I don't get wonky on the day someone died. Yes. For my mom, it was 3 years, for instance. I got to tell you, when my father died, it took me a long time to get over that. About 15 years. How I dealt with it, I tell a story often. I literally forgot the day he died. Like it was burned from my memory. I was 11 when he passed. And people would ask me, when's your father die? And I couldn't remember. I wasn't hiding it. I couldn't remember it. I would go to his gravesite. He's buried out in the cemetery out on Long Island. He was a veteran. So he's buried in the vet cemetery out there. So I would Calverton. So I'd go out to Calverton and I'd see his plate is a plate in the ground. They don't have the tombstones. They have plates in the ground there. So I'd see his plate in the ground and I would see his death date and I would forget it. Okay. I'd walk away and gone. I couldn't remember. And my mother would say, do you know when he died? And I go, I don't know. People would ask me, I'd be 14, 15, 20. I'd be 20 years old. How old were you when your father died? I don't remember. I was a kid. I couldn't remember how old I was when he died. I could remember what grade I was in when he died. I just could not remember. I completely erased it. And I was probably almost, 25, 30 by the time I could remember it and accept it and just kind of deal with it. But I didn't remember his death day. So I couldn't get that way, if that makes any sense. I couldn't. All I could do was celebrate his birthday, which to me was amazing because his birthday was right next to the Marine Corps birthday and Veterans Day. Veterans Day, for those of you who don't know, is the November 11th. Marine Corps birthday, for those of you who don't know, is November 10th. And my father's birthday was November 9th. So those 3 days, November 9, 10, and 11, have always been very special for me. So I get what you're saying. That's how I dealt with it. When my mom passed about 8 years ago. And when she died, much faster for me because I had her so much longer. She was older. I was older. It was much easier. Well, I should say easier. Maybe that's the wrong way. It was less hard. How about that? It was less hard because of my age and because of her age compared to my father. He was 41 when he died. I was like 11. So it was much harder for us. But for my mom, it was easier. I was probably okay 2 years out. Probably I was okay 2 years out. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Yes. Mike says, this is one of those things where I'll believe it when I see it, and I probably won't believe it. Yeah, it's probably true. Yes. Avi says we should have left Afghanistan after we got bin Laden. Yep. No reason to try to force people to be free that want to live in the Stone Age. It's their home. They want to be free. If it's on them, you can never outlast people in their own home. Yes, yes, and yes, Avi. 100%. Let the Afghans be who the Afghans are. I hope they choose freedom. I hope they let their kids go to school. I hope they do all that. But who are we to force them? You're right. Once we get bin Laden, out. Totally agree. Yes. Thomas says, I'm all for bringing our troops home, but this feels like a lot of theater. It is. I think you're running money. It is. A lot of pandering to create a hero persona. Bringing that up is interesting, Thomas. I think they're trying to make, or maybe Biden's on board with this. I don't even know. I know that, I shouldn't say no. I feel that, that's maybe a better way of saying it. I really feel that Biden wants something with his name on it. Whether that's a military plan or whether that's a tax plan or whether that's a, healthcare plan. I think he wants, whatever, Biden care or Biden so-and-so. I think he wants that. And I think part of that is creating what you're talking about, that kind of hero persona. He's the guy who ended the war and he's the guy who was there when we got bin Laden. I think some of that's probably true. I just wish he was really ending the wars. I wish he was. Shannon says, who's really pulling those puppet strings? Yeah. Is it Ed Bid? Maybe I got that right. War equals more money, more money, more money. Yes, we just keep spending it. Yes, 100%. But if we leave Afghanistan, then how are we supposed to control their poppy fields? Valid question, Jeff. Valid question. Yes. Lyndon says, all you had to do was follow him to Pakistan, the next country over from the one we invaded. But invasions are like horseshoes, I guess. Close counts. I guess that's true. Yes. John says, forgive me not buying what this man's selling. We've been at war for 20 years, and Biden's the guy to bring the troops home when he was the one who voted to send them over there in the first place, and to Iraq too. Don't forget that, John. He was all on board. Yes, he was all on board. Yes. Olga says, love snarky Larry Sharpe means you do all commentary. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. Carlos. Innocent people. I think that's true, right? I think it's true, but they can do that whether we're there or not, right? And the other thing to remember, someone like that always requires support. And the local communities, they're the ones who stop it, Carlos. And I'm not just saying that. That happens in New York, right? In New York, a very diverse city of 8.5 million people, very dense, people everywhere. When you want to do something bad, whatever that thing is, you know, get a gun, shoot people up, blow something up, insert bad thing here. If it's a big deal, then you need assistance, you need help, you need support. And we tell on each other. The Muslim community tells on each other if they're Muslim. The Jewish community tells on each other, right? We tell on each other because we don't want this person to ruin it for the rest of us. This is why we have to find a way to deal with our undocumented workers so they can tell on each other, right? They don't want to ruin the good thing they have. That's how we stop the Times Square bomber, right? One immigrant was Muslim, told on the other immigrant who was also Muslim. One of the guys had like a hot dog stand or a food cart or something like that. And he's like, that dude got bombs. Nope, you're not blowing up my deal. 911. My daughter's going to college. You're not screwing it up for me. I like it here in America. Sorry, you got to go. And they got him and stopped him. So even if they were to do that, they have to survive in this country, right? Was it Mao? I'm going to misquote this. I'm sure somebody find the quote for me. I think it was Mao who said something like, the peasants are the ocean, the revolutionaries swim in, or something like that. The villagers are the ocean, the freedom fighters swims in, or something like that. That concept is true. The bad guy, they swim in the ocean. That is the American people. If the American people are so angry or so mad and they go, whatever, go do it, well, that's what happens. But if they don't, they stop them. See something, say something actually works. Like it's documented. It works. Dixie says, we're afraid because the government has made us afraid. Yes. A fearful population is easy to control. I'll go one step further, Dixie. A fearful population eagerly gives up its rights. Eagerly. You don't got to fight, a fearful population to give up, to take their rights. They go, take them. Oh my God, protect me. Take them. We eagerly give up our rights when we're afraid. People who are afraid make bad decisions. Just like my talk from last night we had here talking about cops and people getting pulled over by cops. When both are afraid, they both make bad decisions. Humans, when we're afraid, we make bad decisions. Jimmy says, no country will ever attack USA soil with boots on the ground as long as they have a Second Amendment. It's a very valid point, right? Who's going to invade us? Who's going to invade us? Nobody. The idea of us being invaded is silly. Is it possible that some lone guy, right, like Carlos talks about, might do something silly and hurt people? Yes, that's possible. I hope not. And if we have vigilant population, then the odds of that go down. But, someone's going to take over the DC or capture and siege New York City or something. No. They took Pittsburgh. Not going to happen. No, you're totally correct. Nobody can do that. Not going to happen. Yes. All right. Yep, the boogeyman, just like COVID was made into the boogeyman in 2020, there's still, and here we still are. Whatever it is not people are rendered terrified. So then absurdity gains footage. Slick trick. Yeah, but just it's a done trick. Like it's been done so many times. Yes. The Elastic Giraffe says Afghanistan's GDP went up when they were invaded. Is that real? Wow. Okay. And the global heroin trade boomed because the Taliban could no longer fight opium production. Oh, interesting. Right. Taliban, they don't like opium, right? They don't like the drugs. They're like fundamentalist Muslims. They don't like it. The Northern Alliance, they were all about it, right? All about it. Sure, of course. Yes. So Lyndon says, man, I wish this guy could have had the ear of the previous president tell him that we should pull out. Oh, wait. Yes. What was he doing? Yes, absolutely. What was he doing? Bill Resnick, pure idiot being half brain dead. What else can you expect? I wanted him, Bill, to be a better uniter. That's what I wanted. Clearly, I am disappointed, but that's what I wanted. I wanted him to be more of a uniter, and he's just not that. I did. So what are you going to do? All right. Heard a story that Biden was a strong reason why the Vietnam pullout was so jacked up. Yeah, I don't doubt he was probably there. Absolutely. Yes. That's good. Kenneth says DNRs have been doing the same shit since before I was born. Pretty much what got Kennedy removed from office. Okay. I don't want to touch the Kennedy thing, Kenneth. I don't want to touch that. Yes. Mike says, call me a cynic, but I'm guessing we'll get a Middle Eastern drone strike in the news before the month's out. Mike, I think you're right. Again, I hope you're wrong. I think you're right. Yes. Benjamin Taliban, who says it like that. Joe was watching too much South Park. That's good. So Joseph says, did we outlast the Russians? We did. The Russians were only there for 10 years. We were there for 20. We win? Did we get a prize, Joseph? Did we get a prize? I hope we do. Maybe, I don't know. What do we get, like a ribbon or something? Plaque? Trophy? Maybe we get a trophy. Yes. I don't know. So, as Jason Stapleton said, do everything to avoid war. Yes. But when you go to war, finish it quick. The only mercy in war is speed. Agreed. I had Jason on my show last year. So yeah, another Marine, by the way. Jason Stapleton, another Marine. Yes, I'm glad you follow him. He's trying to make a whole bunch of moves now. Yes, let them fight each other. It's none of our business, right, Joe? I mean, look, the advantage is if they fight each other, and the non-democratic or the most free faction loses, we can take them in the United States. We did it with Cubans when they lost, when Fidel Castro took over. We can do that, right? We'll take them in the United States. We did in Vietnam, took tons of Vietnamese on the West Coast, particularly tons of them. Bring them in. It's fine, right? We're taking the people who have the best of the freedom faction in that country, so they're closest to us of all the people there. We hope, at least. Probably relatively educated, right? So we hope they'll come. How about we do that? I love that idea. Yes. Have we tried shaking our fists, though? Joe, good question. You know what? The next time something happens overseas, I'm mad at, I'll go, you guys. I'll shake my fist right at them and see if it works. I got a feeling the result won't be much better in actual outcome, but a lot less people will die. Well, I do have a powerful fist. It's not that powerful. So I think a lot less people will die if I just shake my fist at them. I agree. Yes. Paula says, my husband was deployed to Afghanistan. He said the Afghanis do not want a centralized government. Well, then maybe they shouldn't have one. They are a tribal people. They care about family and tribe, not a strong central government. They cannot get their head around a large government ruling them. Well, then maybe one shouldn't. I'm with you, Paula. I'm glad your husband said that. Maybe we should let them do kind of what they want to do. Yeah, absolutely. Adrian says, I was at WTC, lost people and saw things. I want to forget and got sick. I hate when people bring it up for politics as it makes me relive it. Thank you. That's my point. Thank you. The people I lost, as I said, were not close to me. They were just acquaintances to me. I'm sure that someone loved them and that people were hurt with their loss. And you obviously felt loss from that. And why is it up to me to force you to have to relive your losses every year? How about you grieve the way you need to grieve for the people who you've lost? And if you want me as part of it to say something, I'm happy to do that. If that will help you, process your grief, great, I'm in. But if you don't need me, I should probably just let you be you and let you deal with your loss the way you need to deal with your loss. I'm with you. But now we use it as, see, I'm going to virtue signature because I talked about 9/11. So now I'm more American than you or something. No, I'm not at all. So Joe says we definitely shouldn't screw over our troops. If we have too many, we can have a hiring freeze. Yes, or buyouts. Absolutely. You absolutely can do buyouts, right? If some guy says, dude, I don't want to be in. I know I'm here for 2 more years, but I want to be in. I'm going to buy a contract out. Awesome. Here's some cash. Bye. It'll be cheaper than keeping some guy who doesn't want to be a Marine for the next 2 years. It's cheaper. You give him an honorable discharge or general discharge, whatever discharge you want, as long as it's not dishonorable. You write him a check. Have a nice day. I love it. You're totally right, Joe. I hadn't even thought about buyouts. Buyouts are fair, right? If you agree to the adjustment in the contract, it's totally fine. So maybe give the troops an option. Hey, do you want to buy out or you want to do 2 years? I'll do 2 years. Okay. No, write me a check. All right. Whatever makes you happy. I love it. Yes. But Larry, the treaties and the N8V, I don't know what that is. The treaties with N8, I'm not sure. Is that North Korea? I don't know what that is. American. Oh, Native Americans. Thank you. Well, just thank you. Okay. Thank you with that. Yes. Native Americans. Yes. No, native. Thank you. I didn't know. I never saw it written that way. You've just taught me something, Jeanette. Thank you. We didn't care about them. That's true. But most of our NATO allies we care about. So we got to be good to them because we care about them. Because not fair. Yes. So what is there to love about an overpowered DA? That's what VP Harris is. Correct. Yes, Kenneth. That's a good way of putting it. I like this. Larry, well, I generally agree with you about embargoes and tariffs. Disagree when it comes to Iran. They keep saying how they want to wipe us and Israel off the map, even though they really can't. That's the point, right? Avi, do I think Iran would support pain or covert operations against Israel? Yeah, then it would. I think you're right. But there is zero chance that Iran can beat Israel. And I mean zero chance. I mean, the population's massive compared to Israel's what? 10 million? Is that about right, Israel? And Iran's what, 80 million? Something like that. So they have massive amounts of bodies. But Israel has the biggest economy, the most money, the most upgraded military, an experienced officer corps, more than even the Iranians have, an experienced military officer corps, dedicated soldiers, great technology, nuclear weapons. I mean, the Iranians couldn't beat Iraq. They're not going to beat Israel. And they got to cross what? They got to cross Syria to get there. It's not going to happen. There's no risky chance of them actually taking out of Israel. It doesn't exist. And America wouldn't let them anyway. I mean, even if for some reason they were able to even come close to it out of some miracle, there's no way America would even allow them. And other nations wouldn't. Saudi Arabia wouldn't. Saudi Arabia would come to defend Israel if they thought Iran was going to do it. So there's no chance of them doing that. So yes, there are a bunch of religious fanatics hell-bent on hurting us and making chaos around the world. No need to invade them, but we need to limit their capabilities, creating chaos around the world. And I think we do that a very important way. I think you're right. I agree with your second piece also. But the way to do that is not containment. As we do containment, this validates their horrible government. It validates us as the bad guy. Let their people see who we are. I mean, who are some of the most American people there are in America? It's the Persians. Oh my God, Persians love America, right? And for those who don't know, Persians are people who've immigrated from Iran, and they don't identify as Iranian. They self-identify as Persians because they don't want to be assigned or connected to the Iranian government. So they or the American, even the Iranian kind of way. So they self-identify as Persians. I love capitalism, love the free market, out there doing stuff. Come on. You know what we need? How about less Iranians, more Persians? How about that? Let's do that. And I think we can do that if we open ourselves up to Iran. I think more Iranian people. If you ask Iranians, the average Iranian, many of them actually like Americans. They just hate our government. So I think you're correct. The answer is not Lindsey Graham's answer. The answer, I think, is a long-term answer, which will have some pain, because I think they will keep doing it, but they're already doing it. So it's not like they're not doing it now. They're still doing it. They're still funding Hamas. They're still funding stuff. So I think they still will, but this will get them internally to go, why are we putting our dollars into Hamas when we should be putting it into cool new computers and internet and stuff, and Nike shoes and cool fuzzy socks and stuff that people like? Do you like fuzzy socks, Abby? I don't know. Some people do. Whatever. So they want that. Whatever. So yes. They need to rearrange the troops to the European front. Oh, man. Matt says, unity isn't really unity when your definition of unity is agree with us or tough luck. Yes, unity requires compromise. Not just that, Matt. Unity also requires a unity of purpose. I don't actually want unity of thought. That's not a positive thing. I don't want everyone thinking the same way. I want everyone really having the same goals. And that becomes hard also. We have to work on that. And that's a hard thing. I'm not saying unity is easy. It's not at all. It is not easy. But if we have similar goals, and more importantly, good faith. And I feel like, and I try to, and I know I don't always succeed in this, but I try to show every one of you who watches and listens to me that even when you disagree with me, I'm giving you my arguments in good faith. I'm not trying to trick you. I don't have an agenda. I'm not trying to be mean to you or gain, I don't know, purity points or, virtue signal. I'm telling you what I think is correct, what I think is the right and the best answer. Even if it isn't the right answer, the best answer is what I think. And many of you have made me rethink. You've watched me go, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong here. I've done it more than once. But if we all have unity of purpose, which is a better, more prosperous, more respectful world that we live in, and we're all going towards that, we can disagree here or there, right? Matt, you can be like, Larry, I like you, but this thing, you're just wrong. You're just wrong. And it doesn't mean we don't talk. It doesn't mean you don't love me. It doesn't mean I don't love you. It means on this, you're going someplace else. Okay. But other things will come right back together because our end game is the same, right? We want the same thing. And if we want that, we'll be together most of the time. You hear me use my 80-20 rule. I use it all the time. Reagan said it. If someone agrees with you 80% of the time, they're not your enemy. They're your ally. And when you agree with them, jump on board. And when you don't, you go someplace else and you come right back when you agree again. So see, so when I'm running U.S. foreign policy and Avi's, part of my team, he's going to be mad at me when it comes to Iran, but he'll be good with me on the rest. See, so he'll walk out the room when we talk about Iran because he'll be mad at me, but the rest, he'll talk to me. We'll be buddies then. Be fine. So yes. The lunar eclipse says, remember that Biden and his military industrial complex cronies wanted to subvert Trump's Afghanistan troop departure. Yes, that's exactly right. Given that his defense secretary, Lloyd Austin, worked for Raytheon. Yes. Yeah. So he's kind of unhappy that Trump was trying to remove, but he's taking advantage of it. So you got to give respect to the Biden team for taking the Trump plan and kind of making it Biden's. And I told you last year that Biden will do whatever he can to take whatever good things Trump did that he sees as good. He'll tweak them a little bit and call them the Biden plan. He's done it with vaccines. He's doing it with Afghanistan. And the issue is a lot of people want that. So they're agreeing with him because they want it. They want to believe, well, Trump was evil, so nothing he does is right. So therefore, if Biden does it, but it's different than what Trump did. Therefore, it's okay. Okay. So now I feel better about this Trump plan because I've slapped Biden on it. So now I feel better about it. And I think it's actually working with some people. So sounds horrible, I guess. Yes. All right. Ben says, Senator Graham drives me crazy. He does. Yes. ISIS utopia on Earth sounds familiar to the communist wonderland that Bernie and AOC talk about. It does, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Just one more gulag, Avi. Just one more gulag. That's all we need. Yes, one more gulag. Yes. Gene says, we should be out of Afghanistan by May 1st. Just get out. The sooner the better. I agree. I think Trump's plan was a better plan. How do I explain this? Am I happy with what Biden's doing? No. Am I satisfied enough to go, it's better than not? Yeah. So begrudgingly, it's okay. That's my feeling on it. Begrudgingly, it's okay. At least we're pulling out Afghanistan. That's something. But there's so much more that I want done. So yes. Sean says, Graham would rather the entire nation default than bring a single troop home. Wow. Yeah. You're probably right. Dean says, cyber isn't as sexy as blowing stuff up. You're so right. And we need to realize that, Dean. We need to realize that cyber is the future, and we have to do that. It's critical that we work on cyber. This blowing stuff up, this is World War II stuff. Stop blowing stuff up. It's not helping. Can't blow stuff up with cyber war. Yep, at least easily. That's true. We'll find a way, Charlie. If there's a way, Charlie, we will find a way. Yes. Gene says, I supported McAfee POTUS because he knows cyberspace. That's true. That's his world. That's completely his world. Yes. Yes. Let's see here. I thought that Afghanistan had never been successfully invaded. It has been successfully invaded. It hasn't been held. That's the difference, right? They've invaded Afghanistan many times. Alexander the Great invaded it. The Mongols invaded it. The British invaded it. The Russians invaded it. And now we have. So it's been invaded 5 times. And what the Afghans do is when they can't win, they don't fight. So they just retreat to the mountains. And I own the city. See, I control the city. I rule Afghanistan. Yeah, no, you don't. You rule that area of the city during the day. That's what you do. At night, you hide and you never rule the mountains. That's kind of how it works. So how do you define invaded? Do we come in and take things? Yes. Do we hold on to power? No. That's not how Afghanistan works. That's not how they work. They don't work that way. James says, every time the U.S. tries to force democracy, they will create another ISIS. Wow. Yes. Every time they try to force feminism, they will create another Boko Haram. Ooh. Wow. That's a harsh one there, James. But you're saying you're basically saying every time you try to force the culture, you get rebellion to the culture change. I like the way I said it better. I like how I said it better, but I get your point completely. Yes, I do get your point completely. Yes. The Shadow Warden says, don't underestimate the willingness of sociopaths like Graham to order the death of people. Yeah, that's my issue. It's almost like they don't understand that we are sending our troops over to Afghanistan to fight a war that doesn't help Americans, and they're sacrificing their sanity, their lives, their limbs, their brains for a war that isn't what they signed on for, right? If they were just mercenaries, just contractors saying, I don't care, I'll fight anybody, whatever, send them. They don't care. But I'm a vet. Many of you watching, vets, you don't join because you want to kill people. I mean, I guess there's a guy or two who does that. I guess there's somebody who does that. But most don't do that. They do it because you want to defend the Constitution. You want to do the right thing. You want to defend the country. That's what I wanted to do. I thought I was going to be Superman and defend the country. That's what I wanted to do. And sitting in Afghanistan, making sure that the poppy fields, get tended, that's not supporting the country. It's not. Absolutely. It's not. Matt says, not excusing any terrorist activity, but perhaps had we not kept interfering worldwide, maybe ISIS and other terrorist groups would not have been so hot to try to kill Americans to punish and teach them a lesson. There's no perhaps. That's 100% true. That's exactly true. That's why they hate us. They don't hate us because of our freedom. They hate us because we're over there. They hate us because we bombed them. They hate us because we're interfering. I mean, lots of countries are successful, don't get bombed, right? Lots are successful. They don't get bombed. They're not bothering them. So why would they get bombed? They don't. So typical politician, they all seem to care about other countries' problems, all while having their own problems with lost children, homeless, and poor treatment of vets. Yes, absolutely. I know people contest whether or not he has dementia, but all I know is he's not the same guy I saw debating Paul Ryan in 2012. He doesn't seem like he's even there. This part is true. He has lost the step. That's true. I'm not sure that dementia, the emphasis about dementia, I'm not sure that's a thing. But he's definitely lost a couple steps. I think that's true. That's accurate. He isn't that same guy, which is why I was really hoping he could be a better uniter. I was hoping, right? But clearly, I'm incorrect, clearly. Chelsea says, Biden's announcement makes it clear that the real plan here is to shift the Afghanistan war to other theaters. I'm not the only one who sees that, huh, Chelsea? Okay. There we go. Yes, 100%. Dan says, when the troops pull out, how many contractors go in? A whole lot, I think. 100%. 5 things that can't be proven. Ghosts, leprechauns, aliens, Bigfoot. and 80 million votes for Biden. Why are you starting trouble, Pete? If you got to put up numbers, why aren't you putting up the debts? 28 trillion. Do I got to do that for you now? 28 trillion, more than 80 million. Starting trouble. All right. Paula says everyone forgets how they voted for the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. They all want to blame Bush when they also have the same intel. 100%, right? Everyone wants to blame Bush for it. And meanwhile, they all voted for it, right? And there's like two who didn't vote for it, like Barbara Boxer and like one other, I forgot who. Like two people didn't vote for it. Like everybody else voted for it. And it's all Bush's fault. Yeah, you voted for it. And then you renewed it. You keep renewing it every, was it 4 years? When they renew it? I forgot whenever they have to renew it. They keep renewing it. So they keep renewing it too. So yeah, let's blame Bush for everything. I love that. So, Iranians libertarian? Maybe Persians are. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Yes. Andrew says, my mom's family, who has been serving in the military for 100 years. Wow. Has said we need to pull out of the Middle East, but still needs to defend Israel. Yeah, look, we need to defend our allies still. I don't have a problem with that, but we should have a realistic treaty with allies, which isn't, if something goes wrong in some other country, we all have to rush over there and bomb them. No. Maybe you have a treaty that says, if you get invaded, we help. Okay. I mean, that would make sense, right? But why would you be like, those guys are angry, so let's go bomb them? That is not a good treaty for us at all. Not at all. I don't think that's an idea. So Pova says, Mao Zedong, the gorilla must move amongst the people as fish swim in the sea. Thank you. There we go. That I knew I got it wrong, but I knew one of you would find it for me. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. The gorilla must move amongst the people as a fish swims in the sea. There we go. Yes, Mao Zedong. So when that sea, the people, become hostile, that fish can't swim. That fish can't swim. Absolutely. John, a man who prefers security over freedom deserves neither. Yes, 100% true. Absolutely. So, all right. I was in RC South Afghanistan in 2011. It was time of the Obama surge, and there were a lot of us there at once. I wonder what's the difference this time, since Whispering Joe was part of that prior plan. Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I know lots of guys who, are upset, and many of them are upset because of the people they left over there, both Americans and Afghans, right? Many people don't know that we also worked with Afghanis over there. Many people don't know that. Obviously, the veterans know, but many civilians think it's just us over there fighting all by ourselves. But we work with Afghanis also. And many people I know, veterans I know from Afghanistan who come back, their biggest issue is the people they left, Afghanis and Americans. And some Americans they left, meaning they don't see them anymore, and some who died there or lost themselves so much they're no longer the same person. That's the other issue too. So yeah, that's definitely an issue. So Joe says Americans don't even know what it is to be American nowadays. Oh, Joe, that's depressing. It's what you're saying has a lot of painful truth in that. Meaning, I look in New York, and Joe, I know you're a New Yorker just like me. How we just sat down and did nothing when our king, His Majesty King Andrew Cuomo II, oh, hello, King, when he just told us that we can't leave our homes, and we can't go to work, and we can't go to school, and we can't live our lives. And the vast majority of us just said, okay. Just said, okay. And some of it was, it's 3 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever. And somebody said, okay, we'll do 2 weeks. And then when it became 2 months, we were just like, okay. This goes back to my idea of us as a people becoming our father, right? The colonialists, Americans, we were up in arms over a 3% tax. We were shooting people over 3% tax, right? We were boycotting and throwing the tea in the ocean over a 2% tax, right? We were not happy campers. Now, our government tells us how much profit we can make, what pricing we can set, when we can go to work. We're like, okay, we're not throwing any tea in the ocean. None of that. So it's a valid point. I don't like it. You know, I don't like it. Gene says Joe Jorgensen was in every ballot and she wouldn't have bombed Syria. It's my thing. I said it back when they were getting mad at Gary Johnson for, what's Aleppo? Well, if you don't know where Aleppo is, you can't bomb it. So home run. Yes. Home run. Yes. Joe says if I was on Larry's advisory team, I'd have to leave the room when it comes to his exclusion of pineapple on pizza issue. Yeah, you better. I'm gonna put you in Gitmo, Joe. No pineapple on pizza. You go to Gitmo. That's it. I'm leaving Gitmo only for one thing. People who put pineapple on pizza. As I said, I have one exception. If you're from Hawaii, you begrudgingly get a pass and you may have pineapple on pizza. If you are not, pineapple on pizza, Gitmo. You're going to Guantanamo Bay. That's it, done. And no due process. You get no due process. I am libertarian except for pineapple on pizza. I'm a total dictator, autocrat when it comes to that. 100%. Yes, absolutely. Obviously, as Larry, not mad at you, simple, respectful disagreement. I appreciate your view as is well thought out. And even though I see some flaws, happy to salute you as our leader and dress you as Sergeant Shaw. Thank you, Javi. I appreciate that. Yes, absolutely. Yes. No pineapple on pizza unless you take the red sauce off. Oh, okay. So maybe I see Joe's trying to compromise. He's being a uniter. Look at Joe being a uniter. Well done, Joe. Absolutely. Being the uniter. I like that. Absolutely. So JGJ says, by the way, Persian Christians are among many persecuted in the Middle East. Yes, absolutely. Yes. And I know there are many over here now in America who are doing quite well, who have absorbed American culture into their own culture they brought from the Middle East. And I'm happy that more of them are here. And I wish Iran would become more like that. It'd be great. Yes. So Paula says, my husband still wants to find his interpreter in Afghanistan. Yes, he was the coolest guy ever. I've heard, Paul, it's why I bring that up, right? I talked to a lot of vets. And even though I was a veteran 30 years ago, there's still a connection. And many of them said the same thing, right? That they miss the people who were there, to include Afghanis. Absolutely. That's actually more common than more people would think. Yes. So Dan says, I'm on your side, Larry. Pineapple and pizza should be separate. Absolutely. Sorry. Yes. So Joe, you might be in trouble. So Pete comes back. Thank you. Comes back. 3-pointer. I love it. 28 trillion national debt. Absolutely. 100%. That's the deal. Guys, I hope this was an interesting show. I wanted to show you something special that I thought was interesting. And so both sides. Thank you, Jimmy, for bringing the other piece up. So we had a good conversation. Thank you for all the comments. As you know, what's going on right now, by the way, is, of course, the George Floyd case. So how about do me a favor? Support my sponsors. Head on over to the Police Accountability Survey. You know I'm going to ask you. I want you to take it. It makes my sponsors happy. Go click on it, take it, and share it. And if you're not going to share it because you're like, I don't feel like doing that, okay, give me some money instead. Head on over to patreon.com/sharpeway. $10, $25 a month, whatever's going to work for you. Please make that happen so I can keep doing this, so I can get some better equipment, take my team to do more work for me. I got a day job still, and I do this every day. So I need more people to help me out, and they got to pay bills too. So every little bit you can give is going to help. If you can't do any of that, no worries. You know what I'm going to ask you to do. Like, comment, share. It does matter. If you enjoyed this show, if you enjoyed the conversation, if you think it was valuable, let other people know. Let those algorithms know. Like, comment, share, donate if you've got the cash. If you don't have the cash, take that survey. Click the link that's in the description. Click that link specifically. Click that link. Take that. Share it with your friends. Bug others to take it too. Tell your friends. Take the damn test. Take the survey. They enjoy it also. Absolutely. So yes, guys, I do like that what we're talking about. I hope that you saw value in it, and I will see you all tomorrow.